All right, y'all. So we back with another one, man. And Lil Durk worst nightmare has came true. Federal prosecutors reportedly have 35 prepared to testify in Lil Durk's murder for hire trial, with approximately 20 described as substantive witnesses expected to provide significant testimony. Now, when I seen the word substantive, I said, why they using new words? What does that mean? Why I ain't seen that word for nobody else? Cause I never even seen the witnesses be referred to as that. So what did I do? I went and did my Googles. And upon me doing my Googles, I found out what it means. So I'm going to read it to y'all and let y'all know what it means. A substantive witness is a person that testifies in court to provide direct, first-hand information used to prove or disprove a material fact in a legal case. AKA Lil Durk is fried, bruh. He cooked, bruh. Like, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, he cooked. He got like 6 accounts. He got to beat those 5 to avoid the life or death. If he take the 1, he's still getting like 20 or more. It's over with, bruh. But anyway, so let's get into that. So I'm gonna go with what Trap Lord Ross had to say first. Then we gonna look at the other stuff. Because y'all know Trap Lord Ross there, he be going all the cases. So let's see what Trap Lord Ross had to say real quick.
Okay, so I'm here at the courthouse, the federal courthouse in Los Angeles, and I've just got out of the latest Durk hearing, and it was very, very interesting. I'm not going to lie to you, wasn't the best day for Durk today. Last session that we had, it was pretty good for Durk. He was taking some W's this time. There were a couple of small W's, but I would say right now, unfortunately, I would say the L's kind of outweigh the W's. The biggest thing that we heard from the courtroom is that the judge is going to allow a lot of, not all, but a lot of lyrics that Durk has kind of put out there in his music to be used against him. Specifically, the judge ruled that the song Pissed Me Off and the music video could be used. The judge even said, I've watched the video, I've listened to the lyrics, and basically the word slide for Von came up several times. They said, look, the song was basically a calling to the public, a calling to other gang members to slide for Von. They brought up King Von's kids being mentioned in the song, Sun, and True. They did get it correct and say that True was King Von's daughter. I know that was a point of contention for a lot of people, whether that was son or daughter. Didn't really matter at this point. They kind of brought up a whole lot of things that were very interesting, and the defense really tried to pull this move to say, and I said before that this was a pretty ridiculous defense, but this kind of argument that, oh no, that Pissed Me Off, that came out before, you know, they tried to kill Quando Rondo and Lil Pab got killed. That song, that's a song about Get Back for D-Thang. That's a song about a different murder that Durk definitely wasn't involved in. So it was a little bit of a strange one, and the judge really wasn't trying to hear it. They brought up the lyrics about put up money for a hot car, put up money for a bond, and what was really crazy is they said that we have a participating witness that is going to testify on behalf of the government to say that he was the one, he was at the music video shoot for Piss Me Off, and he was the one that got the hot car. When Durk talking about put up money for a hot car, put up money for a bond, the guy that took that money and went and got the hot car is going to be testifying against Durk. So that was very, very bad. And then basically after that, I've got to switch a few.
And I'm not finna say who that is, because I don't want them to feel like I'm tampering with their case or nothing like that. Y'all know Trap Lord Ross been going down there, and he been leaving court, you know, giving us the updates and doing the videos, and a lot of time, these, you know, people from the courts come back to him and tell him, you can't be going on there saying this and saying that because you can get in trouble. You could be, you know, tampering with the case or whatever. But I'm gonna say this, y'all should already know who that is. Yeah, if you've been following Durk, if you've been following Durk, if you've been following this, the trial, the whole thing, y'all should already know who it is, bro. And I know exactly who it is. You see what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna say their name. All I'm gonna say is this: who would Durk give money to? Who was the one got the cars in this situation? For the Lil Pop Quando Rondo situation. Like I said, I ain't gonna say the man's name, man, but y'all know who that is.
pages here, but the judge basically kind of ruled that a bunch of other songs would be allowed to be used. So I think they originally wanted about 10 different songs to be included. The judge basically said 4 he's definitely going to be allowed to be used in the case. And it was pretty funny hearing the judge say this. Said Scoom His Ass was allowed to be used. Back Again, which might be one of my favorite songs of all time. Still Running, I think it was. I wasn't sure if that was meant to be Still Trapping. Threats to Everybody. And then he basically said... He said 4, and then he said, oh, Red Man, but that was already kind of allowed to be included. So there was like a bunch of other songs that weren't allowed to be used. And to me, the most shocking thing, and probably the biggest W that Durk had in court today, that song, War About It, which I've said so many times, like, surely they're going to use War About It. They got Durk talking about, no, I said, let's go to war about it. The judge said, well, you know what? The word no, it's so ubiquitous. I'm not seeing the...
Now, the worst part about them using Durk songs is this. You on trial for murder. The feds are alleging you went and did this because King Von got killed. They are using the songs where he's telling people to go get back for Von. Bruh, I don't know what jury in America or in the world ain't finna try to nail this man to the cross. Period. That's why I said soon as they would have, and then you know you got all these snitches too. And come on, man. Durk been in the streets long enough to know that all these niggas ain't gonna keep it solid. Nigga, when they came, you was supposed to be like, look, 10. And got out the jam. Now they gonna nail him, bro.
Connection there. Now I don't know if he's heard War About It. I feel like the judge maybe. I hope he listens to War About It. I mean, he's discovering all of this great Durk music, but War About It, what I said was one of the most damning songs. That's not going to be allowed. So that's a small W for Durk, but really quite a few L's if I'm honest with you. But I'll keep you guys posted on any more updates. Okay, so I'm here at the courthouse, the federal court.
Okay, so let's go to the next one.
Right, so I'm still outside the courthouse from the Lil Durk hearing, and there was another kind of not so great piece of news for Durk. I mean, really, this was actually very bad news. It was ruled that this evidence that was on his phone, remember we heard about he had a phone that was taken from him after he was this victim of a home invasion in 2021. He had fired shots into the air, and allegedly, the cops basically said that they had probable cause to seize his phone to investigate because things weren't really adding up. Even though he was the victim of an alleged home invasion, they said that he'd been reckless and fired the shots into the air. Now, they held on to that phone from 2021, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, because it happened in Atlanta. They had kind of,
Now, the problem with this situation is, how can your lawyers defend that when the judge said it's okay to use that, and you got information in that phone about Quando Rondo's show that he got shot at? Niggas do all this rapping. Niggas do all this. Delete the iCloud and all this. But to Smart credit, they was never supposed to take that phone anyway. But that just goes to show you the law matter until it don't matter for you. I try to tell people this all the time. At some point in time, you gonna realize that law exists, but it just don't exist for you. Look at his lawyers. There's no way anything from that phone should be used in this trial. And the judge said, yeah, they can use it. That's literally breaking the law. That's literally breaking the law because they was not supposed to take his phone. But they said they thought it was the people that ran in his house phone. But it was really Durk phone. And then they said at the same time, too, even though they took it and it was Durk phone, they said Durk never went back to them and got the phone back and said it was his phone. So they kept it, held on to it. The Atlanta Police Department turned around, now the feds get it. They found all this other stuff in there, and now they using it in the trial. See, I'm going to tell y'all something, man. And I'm going to keep it real with y'all. And I'm going to tell y'all something. You know what it is with niggas? Dealing with local police. Beating them local charges. Beating them local charges. And beating them state charges. Over and over and over again. Mugshot after mugshot after mugshot. Case drop after case drop after case drop. Bro, when you dealing with the feds, you got to understand, this is the United States of America. The law you think it on your side, that law ain't gonna be on your side, my brother. They literally breaking the law by using the information from this phone in the trial. And the judge said, yeah, it's okay. Man. Y'all gotta stop thinking the feds and the local little stuff you doing and the regular police is the same thing, bruh. They play by a whole different set of rules. That's why they threw so much stuff in, because they knew Durk lawyers was go get stuff through out. But long as we got enough to convict them on one count, that's all they need. All they want to do is make an example out of him. Even if he get the less count and not the life or death ones, he's still looking at 20 or more. This is crazy, bro.
Tried to crack the phone. They had got like a very basic, cracking of the phone where it was in they described it as like a first unlock mode. So if you turn your phone off and you turn it back on, you're in a first unlock. It hasn't been unlocked yet, right? So if your phone is in that state, what it basically means is that they can't get everything. They can't get all the messages. They can get all your images. They can get the thumbnails. They can get screenshots, but they can't get the actual messages. So Durk and his team were basically trying to argue that because the phone had been held onto for 5 years, the FBI filed a federal search warrant for the phone all the way in June 2026, that they shouldn't be allowed to use that evidence, and it was gathered improperly. This was an L for Durk. The judge basically said, look, it seems like the cops acted in good faith. They had good reason to look at the phone, to seize the phone, to go through the phone back then because of the reckless shots that were fired into the air. It's not the FBI's fault. It's nothing to do with the FBI that the phone was held onto for so long. The FBI asked for that information in good faith, and the judge even said that if they continue trying to get hold of all of the other contents of the phone that weren't available yet, if they get them between now and the trial, which is in like a couple of weeks, he said, well, if the feds manage to get all of the information off those phones, then we're gonna have to revisit it then and decide whether I'm gonna be allowing them to look at all that stuff. And
man, they finna walk right in T-Mobile and crack that phone, bro. They finna get the pictures of India up out of there and everything. I'm telling you, and look, I promise you, bro. I'm gonna tell you how dirty they is. This how dirty they is. When they crack that phone, they ain't gonna be the only ones with that information, bro. Y'all gonna start seeing all type of crazy stuff hit the net about Lil Durk when they crack that phone. Watch what I tell you. Y'all gonna be seeing the wildest stuff. Everything he had in there that he thought was locked and safe, they gonna put it out there. Because one thing about the feds, if you play hard with them, they gonna play hard with you. And they'll try to destroy your image and ruin your reputation. I ain't saying there's nothing in Durk's phone that could destroy his image or ruin his reputation. But I'm telling y'all, once they unlock it, sooner or later that information is going to hit the internet and it's going to be wild. I'm telling you, so be ready for that.
It sounds like that is going to be able to be used against him. And the contents of the phone was pretty damning. It was, photographs, screenshots. Apparently there was a screenshot of a conversation where they were trying to get Lil Tim's address. And the government basically said, yeah, that we have the metadata to show that screenshot was 2 days after Lil Tim was released on house arrest. So they were tracking his movements. It sounded like the stalking was taking place. They said that the screenshot of Quando Rondo's concert posters that were, found in the phone, that was within a few days of, him being shot at outside of his concert. So the government basically said, look, we got that information fair and square. The judge wasn't really trying to hear the other arguments. I mean, he was trying to hear them, and he said, I'm not going for it. It is going to be allowed. And, he said that it sounds like the authorities acted in good faith, and if they get more information, they're going to be able to use that too. So that was pretty bad news for Durk, to be honest with you. But I'm going to do a big update with everything else on my channel, Trapmore Ross on YouTube. So stay tuned for my full update. And there's a few W's that I'm going to let you guys know that Durk had in court today as well soon. Right, so I'm still outside.
Okay, now let's go to the last one.
So there were a couple of really interesting new things that came up in Durk's hearing today that I didn't get a chance to tell you about earlier. One of the biggest things that I'm seeing everybody talking about since we got the update was that there are officially 35 witnesses that the government are planning to bring forward towards Durk. The judge was shocked at this. When the prosecution said we got 35 witnesses, the judge went, 35? And they said, yeah. But they said, look, some of them we're going to get through quickly. They explained who some of the witnesses that they were calling were, and it was really interesting. And to be honest, some of the people that they're bringing, they got a lot of history. So apparently...
So, y'all know what that means. Trap Lord Ross already know some of the people that's snitching. He already know. He know. Now he know for a fact. That's why he said some of the people it's real interesting.
One of the people that they want to bring is a detective in Chicago who has a lot of experience with gang cases, with the Black Disciples, Gangster Disciples, and apparently this gang detective in Chicago has actually arrested Lil Durk in Chicago before. Now, that they said that they weren't actually going to, or they weren't allowed to bring that up, that wasn't... The fact that he had arrested Durk back in the day wasn't something that they said that they wanted to bring up. That just was by the by. But this is a gang expert that they want to bring. In addition to that, they apparently said, look, we're going to get through some of them quickly. For example, they said that one of the people that they wanted to bring forward was some kind of detective, or not detective, but basically they said that somebody was going to come along with accompanying evidence, and that evidence was going to be surveillance footage from the San Diego airport, where basically like the hitmen had been flown out from Chicago to San Diego rather than LA. I don't know why they did that. I don't know if they thought that would help them like evade detection, or it would help them not get caught if they landed in San Diego and drove up to LA to commit this murder. It doesn't really make sense. But like, those are just like a couple of the witnesses that we found out that want to be brought forward. There were kind of witnesses on the other side that were discussed. You know, there's basically like the gang expert that arrested Durk back in the day. Drew Findling did an amazing masterclass in court where he basically said, well, we've got our own gang expert that I know that the state don't want to include. So basically, we'll withdraw our gang expert if you withdraw your detective. And to be honest, the judge was going for it a little bit. The judge was basically like, look, it's kind of an all or nothing deal. And what was so interesting is the judge basically said to Drew Findling, if you submit everything that you're going to ask these experts, I'll go over it, and then I'll let you know it's either all or nothing. It's either both or not. And I just explained it in a longer video on my channel, Trapmore Ross, that I'm about to upload. This kind of was a genius move by Drew Findling, because what he kind of did was like, we don't know how reliable his expert witness on like drill music and gangs in Chicago is. It could be somebody that's really spinning the story in their favor that maybe doesn't have the same experience that this other expert witness who is an actual gang detective in Chicago that's locked up Durk before. And so by like associating these two together, he might actually end up tearing down like a really good witness who's super experienced in this stuff with his own witness. So like, it's either all or nothing. The judge didn't rule on it today, so we're going to find out soon. And I think we're going to get a flurry of paperwork with the judge making a bunch of decisions very soon. So there were a couple of really interesting new things.
Okay. So now we still got more stuff. I ain't even know the video was going to be this long, but we still got more stuff to go over, man. But I'm finna give y'all my thoughts and tell y'all exactly what I think gonna happen. Durk smoked. Now, Drew and Brian Steele, they gonna do their thing. They gonna make the witnesses look like liars and all that. It's also an injunction that says they can't know, I think they can't know all the witnesses or something like that for like 48 hours until the case actually start. And then they saying it's like some for like the same for like the prosecution, because they don't want them telling, each side don't want the other side telling information too early. So now the window of time is even smaller, because when they get the full everything on the information, you got 48 hours to debunk 35 witnesses and make all of them look like they lying. Man, look, I ain't gonna lie. The thing that worries me the most about this situation is that Brian Steele, he had the case. Now look at Young Thug. Young Thug did not beat his case. Young Thug is on 15 years probation. Lucci. I think Lucci was able, I don't know if he got probation or he just beat the case and got released or had to spend some money, however it was, but that wasn't open and shut. With Drew, this is a federal case. No probation is on the table. That ain't even an option. The options is life or death, more than 20 years. I do not see with that jury, I do not see Lil Durk walking away from this situation with nothing. And that's the part that's scary. But y'all check out the playlist, man, and get in the comment section and let me know what y'all think, man. It might be over for Smirk. I'm going to keep y'all updated, man. There's all type of new information. I ain't even go over the other stuff that I needed to show y'all. We going to get to that in another video, though. I'm out.